Greetings, film fanatics. Filmholmes here, and welcome to another rendition of Too Many Movies. So yes, another John Carpenter movie because I love talking about the man, one of my favorite writer and directors. And this movie, people will consider it to be, I don't think one of his worst movies, but it's become a huge cult hit. A lot of people love this movie, but a lot of people also do not love it as much as his more critically acclaimed, successes. Like a Halloween, or The Thing, or Escape from New York, or Assault on Precinct 13, stuff like that. But this is, I would say, my second favorite John Carpenter movie after The Thing. And it's definitely the one I've watched even more than The Thing. Because I grew up with this movie. I didn't grow up with The Thing. I watched that when I was older. But this movie I saw a lot when I was a kid. It was a family favorite, and it's still a favorite of mine now. I just currently rewatched it, and I love it every time I see it. And I'm going to talk about the movie that unfortunately kind of changed John Carpenter's point of view when it came to filmmaking a little bit. He was very disappointed that it was a disappointment, but I'm so happy he made it. Big Trouble in Little China. Let's please get to it. So this movie is so weird. It's so weird. And that's why I love it. And the story, let me say what the story is, because it's weird. Jack Burton, once again played by my man Kurt Russell, another, to me, iconic 80s character, Jack Burton. Actually, wait, let me grab this real quick. Hang on real quick. I'm not big on these, but I got these at a con. Pop vinyls. I've got a few of them around my room, and Jack Burton. I had to get a Jack Burton. It's Jack Burton. It's my favorite Russell Crowe character is Jack Burton. I also got Lo Pan, who's the main villain. It's like Sherlock, Moriarty, Batman, Joker. You gotta have them together. So anyway, wanted to show those off. But Big Trouble in Little China. Okay, the story. Jack Burton is basically just a normal, everyday guy, even though he looks like Kurt Russell. But he drives semi, the Pork Chop Express, and he goes through Chinatown, I believe in San Francisco, and he meets up with his old friend Wang. Yes, that's his name. Don't laugh. Don't be that person. And after a night of gambling, he wins all this money, and Wang bets him like double or nothing he can cut a bottle in half, because that's just how Asian people roll, and he can't do it. So he owes him double or nothing, but he asks Jack to take him to the airport to pick up his girlfriend, soon-to-be fiance, who's coming all the way from China. But unfortunately, she gets kidnapped by this local Asian gang, and their master is Lo Pan, who is basically this supernatural guy who's been alive for thousands of years, and he kidnapped this girl because she's a rarity. She's an Asian woman with green eyes, which to this day, I don't know if that's an actual rarity. I think it is. But along the way, in order to rescue her, they go on this little adventure of going to Lo Pan's headquarters. They meet this guy who's been kind of studying Lo Pan for a long time. A newspaper reporter played by a lawyer played by Kim Cattrall, and then her friend, a newspaper reporter. She's not in it much. Another guy who's one of the people from Wang's restaurant. He owns a restaurant. Just all this huge cast of characters. But the story is basically good versus evil, getting the girl back, supernatural forces. There are these three Asian warriors called the Three Storms who are almost unbeatable. They protect Lo Pan. And just like the title is, it's Big Trouble in Little China. That makes sense to you because it still doesn't make any goddamn sense to me. But I love this movie. I love this movie so much. I do. And to me, it's not a guilty pleasure movie. I think this is a very good movie. The problem with it is I think it's so original. Kind of like Swiss Army Man. which I reviewed a few videos ago. It's not that type of original, but this movie is just, it's kung fu, it's action, it's western, it's west meets east type of thing. And it's very 80s as well, which is great. And, you know, the music. Oh, man! The one thing that I have forgotten to bring up in my John Carpenter reviews is the fucking music. I have the soundtrack to almost all of his movies. I mean, Escape from New York, great soundtrack. Big Trouble in Little China, awesome soundtrack. The Thing, an amazing soundtrack put together by Ennio Morricone, like, who just won an Academy Award for the first time for The Hateful Eight, also a great soundtrack. So I hadn't brought that up yet. I am so embarrassed. That's what happens when you don't script these things. You just talk. You'll forget shit. But that's just the way it is. But the musical score, you know, usually or almost every time put together by John Carpenter. Some of the best music scores in cinema history. It's very 80s. It's very symphonic, but it also fits every one of his movies. And I love this soundtrack too. It's so much fun. But anyway, just wanted to bring that out there. But like I said, that's the story of this movie, but it's so hard to explain. I mean, like, I've had friends watch this, and I built it up probably too much, and they were just like, that sucked. Or basically like, that was fun, but I don't get it. And to this day, really, I don't get this movie either. Like, John Carpenter didn't write it, but it's like, how did the people that wrote it, Gary Goldman and David Z. Weinstein, how did they come up with this? How did they come up with this story? It's so weird. Big Trouble in Little China, which is one of the best names ever for a movie. That'll catch your eye, like Big Trouble in Little China. That's clever. That's neat. But, you know, Kurt Russell is a lot of fun. Wang, his sidekick almost, is a lot of fun. You know, Kurt Russell, he's basically playing like John Wayne, which they discovered during filming. They're like, you're just like John Wayne. Like, you're the hero who, you know, you're just gonna go into battle even though no one asks you to. You just have that in you. You're John Wayne, man. That's pretty cool. And he says some lines where it's very much like a John Wayne. But the whole cast is great. The guy who plays Egg, one of my favorite actors, because he just shows up in a lot of stuff. But I can't remember his name, but he's a lot of fun. Probably my favorite character besides Kurt Russell. He's so damn funny. But he's the bus driver, but he's also the one who's been like fighting Lo Pan for a long time. Kim Cattrall is sexy as she always was, and a lot of fun. Just the whole cast is great. You know, it's really funny. I think one reason why a lot of people don't like this movie is the editing. The editing is good, but it's fast. This is only like an hour and 40-minute movie, but the movie never slows down. I mean, it does a few times a little bit, but even then, it's kind of firing a lot of exposition at you, explaining the history of this world and Lo Pan and stuff like that, which is good, it's needed, it's well done, but it reminds me of Guardians of the Galaxy, where it's just fast-paced for the length of the movie, which I like. It's different, but a lot of people either may not be able to follow it, or, you know, it's one of those movies where it probably will take you, you know, a couple viewings to fully grasp what you just saw. Even though I still haven't fully grasped it, but it's just a fun adventure. It's quirky, it's different, it's original. It's, to me, what filmmaking is supposed to be. You just sometimes get this idea, and you make it, and you see if it sticks. And unfortunately, Big Trouble in Little China didn't really stick back then. But through VHS and DVD and Blu-ray, it's become a huge cult film, one of John Carpenter's most beloved movies. The critics may not agree with that, but I love this movie. I grew up with it. I watched it all the time with my sister and with my mom and dad, like one of our favorite movies to watch as a family. And it's just got so many great one-liners and so much great dialogue, and it's funny. The action is fantastic. The martial arts in it is great. It just pumps you up. You know, there's gunplay in it, there's swords, there's magic. The guy who plays Lo Pan, god damn, I forgot his name, but he is hilarious. Because Lo Pan, he's a supernatural being. I won't go into the whole story of it, but he can, you know, he shows himself as like couple thousand-year-old guy, and they're just like, what, this is Lo Pan? He's like, he's that kind of old guy in a wheelchair. He's fucking hilarious. Where he just, like, talking with Jack and Wang. I'm 30 years old, I'm not going to make a joke out of that, okay? But I kind of want to. I'm not going to. But, you know, talking to them, and they're, what is it he says? Like, Jack Burton goes like, I don't get it. And he goes, shut up, Mr. Burton. You weren't put here on this world to get it. It's not funny out of context, but he's so damn good. But he's also his low pan. He's intimidating. He's tall. He's powerful. And he's kind of scary. So it's a cool transformation between the two characters. But he's a fun villain. Such a fun villain. One of my favorites. But I think Big Trouble in Little China still doesn't get the recognition it deserves because I think it's so original to this day. And the effects in it are really good. You know, very few parts of this movie are dated. I mean, it's very 80s, but to me that's a good thing. Because it's maybe it's too much of a good thing. But to me, it's my second favorite John Carpenter movie, and it's one of my favorite movies, frankly. And it did inspire me to be a filmmaker because it was so much fun. I'm like, I want to make a movie that's that kind of fun. It may not be an artistic success, but sometimes movies aren't supposed to be. They're just supposed to be fun, like the Marvel movies. Most Marvel movies are not an artistic success. They're not going to win the Academy Award for Best Picture. But did you have fun when you watched it? Did it make you forget about the shitty stuff in life? Good. That's what movies are supposed to do too. And Big Trouble in Little China always does that for me, and I've watched it probably 70, 80 times in my life. And I'm going to watch it another 4,000, hopefully, before I'm gone. So anyway, Big Trouble in Little China, I rate it. I'm going to be reasonable. I'm not going to give it a 5. I wanted to give it a 4.5, but I will admit it's probably not one of John Carpenter's best, but I think it deserves more praise. I will give it... You know what? Honestly, I think... No. I'm not going to change my mind. 4.5 out of 5. I think it deserves that. It deserves a 4.5 out of 5. I think it deserves more. People are going to be so pissed that I rated it higher than Escape from New York, but fuck it. This is a personal opinion, but I think it deserves much, much more, and I think it's a lot more original than Escape from New York. It has much more elements to it. So please see it if you haven't. It is currently on Netflix. I think it might be the only John Carpenter movie on there. I may be wrong, but please go watch it. Judge for yourself. If you hate it, trust me, I understand. But if you love it, you can thank me later. You can like the video or leave a nice comment or leave a bad comment, whatever. Just the fact you watched this, thanks a lot. And you watched a great film by John Carpenter. But anyway, that was Big Trouble in Little China. This was Too Many Movies. I'm Filmholmes. As you can see, I got more movies I gotta watch. I'm gonna try to get to more horror movies that are not John Carpenter, but I got a few more John Carpenter movies that I would like to get to, but then some other movies besides that to close out this month. So I got a lot to do, so I'm gonna get to it. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Okay, once again, because I don't script these videos, I will forget shit, and I did. But Big Trouble in Little China, they also turned it into a comic book series, same as Escape from New York, and it's awesome. It is wonderful, and they have actually combined the two, where Escape from New York meets Big Trouble in Little China. Snake Plissken meets Jack Burton. But get the Escape from New York comics, get the Big Trouble in Little China comics. They are so much fun. And the crossover of Escape from New York and Big Trouble in Little China just started with the first issue. Get that as well. Actually, I will go grab it and I will show it right here in a second. And there it is. I promised you I would show it. It's a lot of fun, the first issue. I can't wait to read more. They're great comics. Pick them up if you want to continue the adventures of Jack Burton or Snake Plissken or see them together. For me, 2 Kurt Russells, can't go wrong there. So, yeah, just read them.